Well, I'm pissed, and I think a lot of you should be. It's 6:25 in the night for Thursday, the 30th, no, actually the 20th of March, 2025. We were John C. Roseman, California, pissed off at everybody on social media and for corporate media missing this damn shit left and right. There's a guy out there in Bulwark who found out that there was a non-criminal that got deported into El Salvador, Venezuelan, trying to escape his hellhole, only to be sent by the U.S. government into another hellhole. And he's having a conniption fit over the damn thing. Rightfully, he should. But he's forgot that there's a legal precedent for this one. And not just the acts that they're talking about. Not talking about that one. No, it kept saying something about the War Powers Act, correct? War Powers Act. Always about the War Powers Act. Okay. 1793. Do we ever go back into history? Let's go back into history, shall we? It's called 50 USC, United States Code, Chapter 33, War Powers Resolution. The sections are from 1541 all the way through 1550. And I'm finding this on uscode.house.gov. The declaration on this one, the purpose and policy, 1541 section. It is the purpose of this chapter to fulfill the intent of the framers of the Constitution of the United States to ensure that the collective judgment of both Congress and the President will apply in the introduction of United States armed forces into hostilities or into situations where imminent involvement in hostilities is clearly indicated by the circumstances, and to the continued use of such forces in hostilities in such situations. This is providing the Congress a power to make all laws necessary. Congress, we didn't say the presidential area, make all laws necessary and proper to carry into execution not only its own powers, but also other powers vested by the Constitution and the government of the United States. Or others. About the presidential executive powers, Commander-in-Chief, limitation. Constitutional powers of the President as Commander-in-Chief to introduce United States Armed Forces into hostilities or into situations where imminent involvement in hostilities is clearly indicated by the circumstances. Hostilities, well, I wonder what that was. Are exercised only pursuant to, one, a declaration of war, which wasn't. There was no official declaration. Two, specified statutory authorization. Was there any authorization in the legal department, Department of Justice? Or three, a national emergency created by attack on the United States, its territories or positions, or its armed forces. So here's the question. What the hell was attacked, and who authorized it? But only the president was making the executive order saying this stuff, but that does not exactly constitute anything. But what he's doing, what he's trying to get away with, I got to get this one printed up here too for PDF file research, is he's pinning his hopes on what the Supreme Court of the United States had made its decisions through appellate decisions all the way to the Supreme Court about the limitation or the seemingly unlimited of zero limitations of the executive branch according to what their interpretation of the Constitution is of the presidential powers. This case was regarding Trump and his actions taken back in his first presidency. And the Supreme Court made their decision when they had decided back in July 1st of 2024. Now, it was argued in April of 2024, and it was decided on July 1st, 2024. It's Trump versus the United States. The paragraph on the Trump versus United States. Federal grand jury indicted former President Donald J. Trump on 4 counts for conduct that occurred during his presidency following the November 2020 elections. The indictment alleged that after losing that election, Trump conspired to overturn it by spreading knowingly false claims of election fraud to obstruct it, collecting, counting, and certifying the election results. Trump moved to dismiss the indictment based on presidential immunity, arguing that a president has absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for actions performed within the outer perimeter of his official responsibilities, and that the indictment's allegations fell within the core of his official duties. District Court denied Trump's motion to dismiss, holding that former presidents do not possess federal criminal immunity for any acts. D.C. Circuit affirmed. Both District Court and D.C. Circuit declined to decide whether the indicted conduct involved held official acts. And this is the thing that gets to them. And gets to everybody that they keep forgetting on this one here. Under our constitutional structure of separate powers, and this is what's being held, the nature of the presidential power entitles a former president to absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for actions within his conclusive and preclusive constitutional authority. And he is entitled to at least presumptive immunity from prosecution for all of his official acts. There is no immunity for unofficial acts. Meaning he made it official orders in his executive orders. And supposedly, this is the court case covering this, backing him on this one, stating that he has absolute presidential immunity to do the heinous acts. My interpretation of it, unfortunately. Article 2 of the Constitution vests executive power in the President of the United States of America. Before I get into that one, I need to get into the U.S. Constitution, because we're going to take a look at the powers of that. Annotated, and also I need the archives. Archives meaning I need to get the damn print. I need to get everything printed. Print the page. I'm going to get it PDF'd. Because I'm going into the sections of the Constitution where it's going to be talking about the presidential powers, what they seemingly have. And it's going through different court cases, but they're going to base it off the SCOTUS ruling that took place last July before the elections happened. Somewhere in here to give the powers for the executive power to executive branch, Article 2, Section 1. Executive power shall be vested in the President of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during a term of 4 years, and together with the Vice President chosen for the same term shall be elected as follows. And talk about the electors for that one, but I need the powers. Being a commanding-in-chief of the Army and the Navy of the United States and of the military of several states or militias when calling into actual service may require an opinion in writing of the principal officers in each of the executive branches. Harris grants pardons. The power by with the advice and consent of the Senate to make treaties. fill vacancies, tell Congress what the hell's going on, move from our office for impeachment, he's not an official of the judicial branch. He's only in the executive branch. Balance votes, representatives. No person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States shall be eligible for the office. Case for removal. But I don't see how far a president can go with his powers except what's limited or seemingly limited. That's ratifications of conventions. Let me get into Article 1 again. Let me see what we have. Article 1, Legislative, House Reps. In case you want, I'll send the documentation in the description. You guys can look what we're looking at here. But they do talk impeachment a lot, though. What I'm not getting is this how far under section Article 2 in the sections where the president's going to have to be a total complete asshole. I'm talking about the elections, the president, and all the presidents. What should be counted? I talked about the Electoral College and the voting process on that one. Who's responsible for it? And how to remove a president if he's not doing the services. What I'm looking for in the originals is just how far that power can go. The originals. But what I need is I need a complete thing on this one. Legislative, judicial, amendments, freedom of speech, petition, Second Amendment, quartering, Fifth Amendment, grand jury, due process, Fifth, charges and criminals, excessive fines, enumerated rights, Ninth Amendment, rights to preserve to the states and to the people. Election of a president. What I'm looking for is how far and what the power is for presidential office. Term, well, say 20th Amendment. Term limits. Vacancy and disability. But somehow, in all of this, they have yet to tell me just how far the presidential power is. And the thing is, it's usually up to the Congress to decide, and also the Supreme Court or the district courts to confirm. And the thing is, I don't understand is where are they getting that complete immunity? Well, I don't even see the immunity written into the Constitution, not even to the amendment process, because this ticks me off. So I have to go back over to the damn Supreme Supreme Court case that ruled in favor of the old trash bag. Article 2 of the Constitution vests executive power in the President of the United States. Number 1, Clause 1, the President has duties of unrivaled gravity and breadth. Trump versus Vance. Talked about Section 591 U.S. Code. His authority to act necessarily stems from either an act of Congress or from the Constitution itself. They were talking about cases that they're referring to. I'm going to get this PDF in there too. Latter cases, the President's authority is sometimes conclusive and preclusive. There are different cases defining what he can and can't do. When a President exercises such authority, Congress cannot act on and courts cannot examine President's actions. So let me repeat that one. When the President exercises such authority, Congress cannot act on, and courts cannot examine, the President's actions. It follows that an act of Congress, either a specific one targeted at the President or generally an applicable one, may not criminalize the President's actions within his exclusive constitutional power. Neither may the courts adjudicate a criminal prosecution that examines such presidential actions. The court concludes that the President is absolutely immune from criminal prosecution for conduct within its exclusive sphere of congressional authority. Not all of the presidential official acts fall within its conclusive and preclusive authority. The reasons that justify the President's absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for acts within the scope of his exclusive constitutional authority do not extend to conduct in areas where its authority is shared by the Congress. To determine a presidential immunity in this context, court looks primarily to the framers' design of the presidency within the separation of powers precedent on presidential immunity in the civil context. Criminal cases where a president resisted prosecutorial demands for documents. Oh, this is going to be a long-ass winded one. Suffice it to say, what the Supreme Court gave was carte blanche. But that being said, I don't hear the independents and I don't hear the liberal media or corporate media, however we want to call them, talking about this damn case to this date. Why? Why, guys? You guys are bitching or griping about how much the presidential powers is. This is carte blanche. I'm not a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. I haven't been studying the law. But this sounds in plain English. What they can allow and what's not being allowed. What's being considered and what's not being considered. And it's usually the lawyers. And my dog calls for me. Power greater than the Supreme Court is her whine. Is that the Supreme Court is being interpreted in a way that carte blanche is being given to the presidency for him doing what he does. Meaning, we've got assholes from ICE raiding people in places and sending them out because this would be considered an act of war. Even though war has not been declared. According to the War Powers Act, war has to be declared. Where's the war being declared upon? Where's the official act? Because usually in the Constitution it says war has to be declared by Congress. But the President is using the presidency, he's using the Supreme Court decision as his basis to do this crap to people. Let that sink in. And then if you want to go to the bathroom and throw up, go ahead. Supreme Court can reverse this. They can reverse it if they need to or want to. Will they?